Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of MIA Podcast, where we answer this question: will Australian manufacturing ever return to the glory days of the 60s? And here to help us answer this question is Sean McHugh from McHugh's Finance. So excited to have you on, mate. Welcome.
Thanks so much, John. Really appreciate the opportunity and looking forward to having a bit of a chat.
Yeah, awesome, mate, awesome. Look, I'm going to be really cheeky and just put out like a 10-second. Sean is writing an ebook, and hopefully by the time it's told me not to mention it, but I am. So hopefully by the time we release the podcast, at least it's in its first draft. But stay tuned for that, because it's pretty. You've given me a bit of an insight into it, and I think it's fantastic for business owners just to get a better broad understanding of business as well. But before I get into too much more trouble, do you want to give yourself a bit of a plug and just let everyone understand what your business is and how you got started?
I appreciate it, John. So, look, I specialise in working with small and medium-sized businesses. I help them get access to funding to be able to scale and grow. And often where I help businesses the most is where they've got great opportunities in front of them to grow, but money is the only limitation.
Yep. And something we will talk about is right now it's mid-June, and there's little hints of the economy slowing down here and there. And something that I'm a big advocate for is businesses who have the ability to stand out more during these times. They always come out on top. So that's a conversation we'll have on the podcast. It'll come soon. So back to you, Sean. Like, give me some ideas of how you help businesses and what type of businesses you are helping at the moment.
Yeah, look, really, really good question. I've found niches in food manufacturing, which is really, really exciting. There's some really, really good innovators of different products. And that could be, in the chilled food space, or it could be, around desserts and ready-made meals. So, yeah, very, very exciting. And often those types of businesses to grow and scale, they require quite important commercial equipment to be able to manufacture their product. So, yeah, very, very keen supporter of people in the food manufacturing industry and being able to support them when they're looking to grow.
Yep. And, I think the whole point of the podcast is to look at how we can help get word out there for manufacturers to be able to look at creative ways to grow their business, to collaborate, whatnot. You're heavily involved in networking as well, which I think is a fantastic way. If you are a manufacturer or involved in manufacturing in some way, it's a fantastic way to connect with other fellow like-minded business people who can probably help you out with parts of your business as well. So do you want to just spruik a little bit about what you've done in that field?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of what networking can do and how that can help people in the manufacturing industry, it really helps them connect to other business professionals and people like yourself, John, that are really, really good at being able to help them automate some of their best processes. And some of that could be around prospecting, it could be around lead nurturing, it could be finding ways to get in front of your ideal client from a digital marketing point of view. I guess that from that perspective, networking and meeting other business owners, you often find ways that you can improve on what your product offering is, or getting in front of your ideal client, or protecting yourself in terms of insurance.
Yeah. And, I think that's one thing that I definitely got out of the network that we were both a part of, was just being able to understand other businesses better. We were then, as a CRM and a marketing company, we were then able to sit with a business owner and understand how they work with their target market probably better than what they do themselves. And I remember specifically sitting, there was someone who approached us. They were a buyer's agent, and they were like, "Oh, I don't know if you know anything about buyer's agents." And I listed off all the typical problems, and they're like, "Oh, well, why don't you start marketing for us?" Essentially. So it's a great way just to understand I think more than what we typically, the world we typically get involved in.
Absolutely. And being able to learn about other people's specialty, how they add value, and it gives great insights to both not only how they can help you, but how that can help other people in your network as well. So yeah, very, very important.
Yeah, look, and one of the reasons why I got you on, Sean, was a few years ago. I remember I was running my own business. I needed an injection of cash flow at a fairly important stage in my life, and I remember just picking up the phone. And one thing I love about how you work, it's like it's always everything's no trouble. We'll find a solution for you. And we had to go through a couple of different strategies to find the solution, but you end up finding a solution, and that helped me out immensely. And I'm always grateful for that, obviously. I very, very one of the things I love about how you work is that you're very much about the holistic approach as opposed to, oh, we just need some cash in your business, I'll find someone that can lend it to you.
Absolutely.
So, do you want to speak about more about that? Yeah.
Yeah, it goes exactly back to what you were saying before about what you do in networking and understanding businesses and its drivers. So that could be understanding the products or services that a business offers. It then ties into who is their ideal client, how do they get in front of their ideal client, and just understanding things like how many staff are in the business and what the goals and the ambitions of that business are to grow. And from there, you've got a really, really good base for understanding why somebody's coming to you and approaching you for money, what the drivers and key levers are in their business without going too deep. And from there, you can start to develop a strategy based on the funding requirement, whether it's recurring, whether it's not, whether you're looking to provide security, or whether you're trying to avoid tying your property into any type of financial transaction, then from there, we'll be able to strategize about which financial products that I've got available to me that could potentially support you. And when I say financial products that I've got available, I work with bank, non-bank, and private lenders. So try to have a very comprehensive product offering that serves the business owners that I work with, because they're across a very, very wide range of industries.
Yeah, and I think that's the key is definitely from my experience is that there are business owners out there who probably typically go to, say, just a bank, and banks can be absolutely be helpful, but it's also great for a business owner to know that there are other ways, there are possibilities as well. And it might be a mix of bank and a mix of private, who knows? But you're the sort of person that has had a huge amount of experience, and you'll be able to get a gauge of what's the right fit for someone based on their situation. And as I said, a very flexible and wide range of products that you can offer people, as opposed to just the typical one that a bank might be able to.
Absolutely. I don't think I've ever met a lender that I've worked with in my working career. I've been working in financial services or financial products for over 15 years. And never once have I ever seen a lender recommend that somebody coming to them should be going to borrow from somebody else. And why is that important? Look, as a lender, you're trying to get people to fit your products. As a broker, I found it a lot more wholesome, because for me, I can really better serve my client by having a wider range of products that I can use to be able to support them when they're looking to borrow money.
Yeah, I love that. We use the same sort of style, even with our CRM services. Like, we primarily work with HubSpot. HubSpot's it's not going to fit every business. And we love being able to sit with a business, understand what their needs are, where their future is, where they want to scale, where they want to grow. And it's like, well, let's choose a right fit solution for you, as opposed to just trying to shove a product down their throat that they don't need, and they're going to hate in 12 months. Yeah.
And I'm going to give you a little bit of a plug here, John, because you've done some really, really good work for me in helping me get set up with my CRM through HubSpot. And the reason that was really, really important to me is there were certain limitations in the CRM that I was using. And it wasn't about, okay, when somebody is looking to apply for finance, but it is when somebody I'm talking with, and I want to continue to talk with them and not have any leakage. And in terms of falling out of contact with a client because, okay, work gets really busy and I haven't had a prompt or a reminder that helps me to be able to continue to re-engage that person. So things like lead nurturing, things like being able to get analytics about who is interested in some of the things that you're sending across in terms of special offers, really, really important. And for anybody that's considering getting off Excel spreadsheets and looking at trying to start out and do something in terms of CRM, I highly recommend having a chat with John.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. Appreciate that. And it's what we love doing, isn't it? Like it's a bit of a passion of mine of helping people be able to get more out of their business. So appreciate the plug. Thanks, mate. So let's look at manufacturing at the moment. I think manufacturing's had an interesting ride over the past since pre-COVID to where we are now. There's been a bit of a boost in the last couple of years. We had the modern manufacturing initiative, supply chain issues, which are starting to, I think, put a much better position now. One of the conversations I was bringing up on this podcast when I'm chatting to people is manufacturing as a percentage of GDP has started to lift in the last couple of years. There's always this question of, is this a honeymoon period while everyone's like, yeah, let's do Australian manufacturing, Aussie made. You remember back in the old days of when Dick Smith had his Australian made peanut butter and there was Australian made symbol. Everyone was consciously looking on the shelves for like, let's buy Australian made. Do you have a thought as to whether are we in a honeymoon or is this something that can take off again? What's your thoughts on that?
It was really interesting that you touched on that, John, because I think the consumer sentiment, like it continues to resurge in terms of interest around Australian-made products, and it becomes a focal point for a period of time. And as you say, that whether the concern that that's a blip and then that fades out. And I think that the hardest thing as well for Australian manufacturers, because obviously we're very, very high quality and standard of manufacturing in Australia, being able to compete on quality rather than price. And in a situation where we've got inflation and cost of products and services are going up, people making a conscious choice to buy Australian made products, very, very, very important.
Yeah, I agree. And look, let's look back to that in a second because that's a really important point. I wanted to also bring up that we both have a manufacturing background from our family. So your dad was originally a boilermaker and then taught boiler making at TAFE from memory. My dad was CFO of a company that used to make electric motors, and he was there since he was like 16 till almost retirement age. So I think our families have both been involved in manufacturing a long time. And we've both, through our families, witnessed the decline and a bit of a surge in manufacturing as well. So a topic we always talk about is that whole concept of knowledge handover, training. If we were to have a sudden boost of manufacturing, let's get manufacturing back up and running. There's some skills out there that I think it's going to take a bit of time to get back up and running again. One of them being boiler making. I could probably count boiler makers on my fingers now. It used to be probably fingers and toes and before, but now it's just fingers. There's not many out there. What are you seeing in the marketplace around people needing local resources to support the growth of their businesses?
Look, that's a really, really good question, and giving a little bit of information just on background with Dad. So yeah, he was a boilermaker by trade, was an apprentice, used to work on the HMAS ships out of Garden Island, and then became a teacher and very, very passionate about that until I believe it was the Paul Keating government relocated that down into Victoria. That naturally leaves a bit of a void. My dad, as an example, then left the industry to then go and do something else in government services and was not aligned with boilermaking. So the really, really good point that you touched on there about what happens in the event that, let's just say, for example, a manufacturing plant does close, and especially the education and the teaching around it, it leaves a void, because I guess manufacturing is a trade that skills pass down from generation to generation. And if a generation skips, then knowledge is lost. And it makes it a lot harder to be able to restart manufacturing capabilities. And a really, really good example of that is most recently when New South Wales government needed to manufacture some trains, and they chose to do that offshore rather than doing it onshore. And it's a missed opportunity, not only to give people in the local community work, but also to make sure that and ensure that you're supporting the manufacturing industry, and new people, new entrants into the industry get to learn, and then the trade continues to pass down.
Yeah, it used to be like we used to build a lot of trains locally, Comenge and all those and huge missed opportunity. And I think it sent a big signal to the Australian population of, like, inverted commas, we don't do trains anymore. So it was like there was a lot of people shaking their heads, just going, geez, we used to have this capability right here. And it's unfortunately has brought in a few issues as well. We used to have one of our staff was Spanish, so we used to have a bit of a joke about her trains, which she she said it was a contractual issue. We say otherwise. But it's a good example of just knowledge lost. I think for me, the flip side of that is the exciting part of it, where we are focusing more on advanced manufacturing, more Gen 4 manufacturing, where we've got a lot more technology focus, aeronautics, space. Some of the people we have on this podcast, you've got electrical engineers, and I think that space is exciting. But I think traditional manufacturing is it's struggling, and it's probably going to continue to struggle unless we do have expertise to be able to lift it up. I guess. I want to see more advanced manufacturing. I guess it's going to survive more. One day will it get taken over by robots? Maybe. Definitely the advanced manufacturing is a huge opportunity there, and that for me that taps back into what we were saying before around quality of Australian manufacturing. And we were just discussing before we jumped on this whole concept of there's murmurs at the moment of economic downturn. Some industries are starting to put the brakes on a little bit, especially at the larger, more enterprise level. Smaller mid, I think there's differing stories around that at the moment. But one thing I've always said on this podcast is this whole thing of if Australian manufacturing can beat its chest per se, and get out there to the rest of the world and say, look, we're here, we've got fantastic quality. There's the green layer as well. Like, you don't have to buy a XYZ product and throw it out 12 months later. It can last 5-10 years. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really, really good point that you make, John, about the environmental impact of poor quality product. And it's something that's really, really overlooked in the lifetime value of, and versus what you pay for a product. The idea that, okay, I'll buy something cheaper and then you've got to dispose of it, within a quarter of a time of maybe a higher value product that it will stand the test of time. All it does is result in putting more junk in landfill, right? And this is most products. They're hard to break down. It's not something that I guess that on that side that you can really do in an environmentally sustainable way by taking shortcuts around quality on product.
Exactly. And it just creates overheads in itself. Then you've got logistics issues of you've got to transport more products, then you've got to get rid of more products, and like you said, landfill. And there's it's like if you build it to a high quality at the start, I think if we're able to shift people's psychology around trying to just buy cheapest first, by quality, at least consider quality as an option, then we're in I would say, very, very strong place to be able to provide that quality. Which then links me into my next point, which is that whole thing of looking at companies that are willing to stand out from the crowd, whether it be the economic downturn, whether it be us just stepping up our game as a whole, as Australian manufacturing, and being able to go out there and have, I think, a more reinforced, say, marketing campaign going to market, and a stronger way in which you present yourself from your brand and your communications, and really getting your message out there. I think from our experience, there's businesses out there that are hesitant because, it's going to cost money, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why I wanted to bring you into this mix. It's like, okay, well, if cash flow seems to be an issue, you don't have to pay for it all right now, even though there's the tax incentive. There's ways to fund that as well. You don't have to pay 40K for a website today. You can spread that payment out.
Yeah, and look, you touched on that really, really well. First of all, the tax incentive. So you're looking at a situation that after June 30 this year, we've got a reduction in the instant asset write-off from $150,000 down to $20,000, and that will minimize the tax benefit for manufacturers that are looking to purchase, heavy equipment that they rely on to be able to put out a great quality product. On what finance can do, you nailed it on the head in the sense that, you can spread the cost over time. It means that it takes an element of risk out of the purchasing decision. So if you were going to use all of your available cash flow to spend on a core or essential piece of equipment, whether it's an increased output, whether the equipment itself is more efficient in nature in the way that it produces the product, then finance can help you take that leap without having to sacrifice all of your working capital and have that in a piece of equipment that is going to last you quite a long period of time.
Yeah, really, really, really important point. I think the depending on when this podcast gets released, either you'll take advantage, maybe you've just taken advantage of the tax benefit, but I'm not sure of the thinking behind reducing it from 150 down to 20. Was it 20 or 25? I lost track of what it was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it goes down to 20,000 on that side. And I agree with you. Not sure what the goal is, but I guess that the government's trying to tighten the purse strings and they've got to do it some way, right? So, but I guess that what it does do is it limits opportunities for manufacturers to take that extra risk. And I guess that on my side, it's important that they do take those risks, because standing out from the pack, you don't see companies become successful by taking the status quo as an answer. They make bold decisions, and some take high risks, and that would equal to a higher reward than if you were to accept the status quo and try and build a business like what your competition is. And I think that borrowing money is part of an answer to that, being able to take more risks, but calculated risks as well. So important to have good advisory in terms of whether it's talking to your accountant, whether it's having a business coach, an external CFO, a good quality bookkeeper, being able to understand the numbers and what it's going to mean for you will help minimize that risk.
Yeah. And on that point, when you are working with companies, are you typically working with the founder, the accountant, the CFO, a mix? How is it that you usually interact with the business?
Typically, I'll work at director level, and it's not to say that I haven't worked with, CFOs, CIOs in the past, because I have, in the capacity when I was doing a lot of IT equipment finance and working with a lot of larger businesses. But I typically find that business owners that really need my help more than others are one director that's wearing multiple caps. And so that could be, the CEO, the CFO, the CIO, the CMO, they wear all the hats. So I guess that a person that's in that situation often needs connection to good people. They need good advice, and they need somebody that's willing to fight for them when they do need help. Yeah.
And I think good advice is the key component. We've had, I know of stories of people that have just gone and there's been money on the table and they've just grabbed it and just gone, great, now we can do X, Y, Z without having the person doing the lending do their due diligence, and especially back when it was almost 0% interest. Just like there was money for some industries to throw around left, right, and center, and now people are getting hurt, and it's like like at least sitting with someone like yourself, you can sit there and war game different scenarios and just go, well, what happens if X? What happens with Y? Let's consider a few different options here. Have a couple of backup plans, and then you can comfortably go out there and just go, all right, well, it's going to work, and we're prepared for likely situations.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. Almost coming back to understanding the requirement at the start. So if you know what the business is trying to achieve, then typically there's probably going to be more certain products that are going to be more suitable than others. However, in most cases, I won't just present the most suitable. I'll present a few different options because there's certain different features than in certain financial products that may appeal versus others. And there's, I guess, an order of priorities in terms of what is important to each borrower specifically. So it's really being in tune with that and understanding so that everybody's comfortable, and from there, it really sets the business owner up to be successful if they do decide to borrow money.
Yeah, I like that. And what's some success stories that you would like to share? Love to hear a couple.
Yeah, look, really appreciate you asking. So one of my favorite success stories, one of the first transactions that I worked on as a broker, I helped a young gentleman buy his first business. I know that this isn't around manufacturing, but I helped him buy his first gym. And the reason that was really, really important
manufacturing to me, amazing bodies.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Manufacturing.
and look, the reason that one was really important was it was actually quite early in my brokering journey. We got him a really, really good outcome in terms of being able to source finance to be able to buy the business. He's now at the point where he's bought his second business and potentially considering buying a third. And not only that, I've seen him grow on a personal level, i.e. the girlfriend is now the wife. And I'm imagining that the next step will come soon on that. So, yeah, it's very exciting to see somebody that you help be successful and being able to be a conduit or enabler to really help them to get to their next phase of growth. And for me, being able to kind of sit back and reflect on what they've achieved, you can really, really be happy with that. But calling out another success story that I'd like to share is one that's probably more related to manufacturing, which is helping a food manufacturer and their growth into Harris Farm as a supplier. They've done really, really well in terms of distribution. They're quite aggressively chasing my client's product. We've been able to help them out with some equipment with vac sealing. And so they do a lot of ready-made foods in that vegan space. And I tell you what, probably the best bolognese. I couldn't have expected a better result when I first tasted it. It was absolutely amazing. So I fell in love with the product. I fell in love with the business owner. And for me, it was really about finding ways to help supercharge their growth.
And what's the name of the business if you can get them a plug today? So we're doing lots of plugs today. Why not throw one more in?
Yeah. So look, the Green Line, they are a food manufacturer that's based out in Sydney, New South Wales. And I would highly recommend that you go and look up their product on Google. You can order that direct. You can go and get that through Harris Farm, and an absolutely amazing product, and do a wide different range of vegan products.
Vegan bolognese. I'm curious.
It's amazing. The taste, the texture. You wouldn't be able to tell it from the real thing. Like it is amazing. And the business owner, he's super passionate about food science. So taking into consideration the touch, the taste, the texture, everything, he does not overlook any detail, which is amazing because he's a great human being and very passionate about what he does.
Fantastic story. I love it. Is he looking to export or just stay local?
I think that will be the plan eventually. He'll be looking to scale and grow that further, and I think that given the quality of the product, and I think that food manufacturing is quite in this country very, very high quality in terms of what's been put out. If you think about going to your local supermarket, even let's say 10, 15 years ago, and try to get a frozen pizza, you look at the options and the availability of different cuisines, from pizza to whether it be Indian to, bolognese and Italian. So it's amazing the different food choices that we've got, which is really, really important because most families are dual income earning families, and being able to get a high quality meal just on the go, very, very important.
Yeah, it used to be steak and diced vegetables back in our day. It's come a long way. And look, everything I read about Australian food manufacturing is that we're really making a name for ourselves internationally as well. So I think there's some exciting prospects. It's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So look, I think a couple of other topics that we'd normally cover is energy. There was one of our guests who was actually a food manufacturer, jumped onto LinkedIn this morning and had a voice his opinion, but he's basically been told his energy costs are going to rise by 21%, and it's like that's a huge hit for a business if suddenly it's like, because energy is a fair component of manufacturing for a business as part of the P&L. But suddenly just to say, oh, look, we've got a 21% hike in your operating costs. That's a big hit. Have you seen any? We've had energy people on the podcast as well, but have you seen any other solutions around there as well?
Yeah. So, mate, it's a great topic because it's what I consider an external force or an external factor of your business that you can't control. Or there's ways that you can limit the damage, but the cost of energy, it's an external market force. And so strategies that you could employ to reduce your energy costs, and one that's obviously close to a passion that I've got, is looking at the equipment that you've got, especially if you've got old or aged equipment, because typically manufacturers of that equipment will continue to find ways to make the product more efficient from an output point of view, but also from an energy point of view. So I guess that upgrading can also find ways where you can limit your energy output, but also things like owning your own commercial site is very, very important, not only to build equity on your balance sheet, but to be able to do things like put solar panels on the roof, take advantage of savings from generating solar power versus looking to source everything from the grid. So there's a few different opportunities if you look hard enough, and you've got to have a focus on it to be able to find ways to limit the damage from those external forces, i.e. energy costs rising.
Yeah, I like that one about upgrading your equipment. It's probably not an obvious one, especially for me. I'm not directly involved in manufacturing. It's not an obvious one, but I dare say there'll be some positive savings there, because I know there's a lot of manufacturers of equipment that are having that whole green layer in terms of probably reducing their green footprint, but the byproduct is typically less energy usage as
Absolutely.
well.
Well, it's another testament to our manufacturers in Australia of great equipment. So on that side, manufacturers supporting other manufacturers is good. And I think that from a point of focus, it's about really educating your ideal client, ideal manufacturers that you're trying to work with and you're selling product into, about the energy savings and what that could look like compared to, if somebody was using a piece of equipment from, say, 10 years ago, what the difference or the gains would be in terms of your output, in terms of your electricity usage.
Yep. And another reason to get better at your own marketing, if you're a manufacturer of stuff as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, part of our big thing is part of marketing is educating your target market. Stop trying to solve solutions all the time or throw solutions down people's throat. You've got to educate people as well. So just have them understand that you're out there. So that's our spin on it. Yeah. Look, was there? We're hitting the point where we'd probably wrap up soon. Are there anything else that you wanted to share with our audience?
Look, on my side, just again that for any manufacturers that are watching this, there are over 100 different finance products that are available to business owners, and not all of those finance products are the same in terms of what problems that they solve. Some of them could be, equipment finance through to business loans, lines of credit, trade finance, invoice or debtor finance, and being able to get a product that is going to help you achieve growth. It is definitely worth reaching out and talking to somebody, whether it's myself or somebody like myself in the industry, because you can get a better outcome than what you expect. And whilst Google is great to help from an education point of view, just like if you were researching what is an ailment that you may have if you are feeling sick, trying to diagnose your finance problems on Google will not generally play out very well for you. So on that side, seek help, because there are a lot of good people that do work in this space that are passionate about helping manufacturers in Australia. And the other thing I'd like to say as well is for manufacturers that are trying to get more savvy and understanding what their clients are looking for, would definitely recommend having a chat with John, because being able to implement smart technology in your business that helps you understand your clients, from how you better serve them and how you can continue to serve them in the future, will continue to help you grow and scale your business.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And we're passionate about what we do as well, and we're here to help. And the whole point of the podcast is just for manufacturers, for those that are listening, to be able to just understand that we all specialize. Each of us specialize in something, and if you're even unsure whether your current solution is working for you, it's always good just to pick up the phone or shoot an email or something and just go, hey, look, is this the right approach? Start the conversation. If it is, great, keep running with it. If not, then there's an opportunity to do things even better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, look, big thank you again, Sean.
Thank you, sir.
Very excited to have you on the podcast finally. I think what I would say to our listeners is that, the economy is doing weird things at the moment. At least have it from our end. Have a look at how you market yourself. If you're willing to take a leap of faith or a jump in your own business as well, have a look at how you are presenting yourself to the market, and other opportunities that you could tap into that maybe your competitors are not willing to tap into that during the current economic climate. And from the other side, if you need financing to do it, Sean can jump in and help as well. But definitely that whole thing of if you've got older equipment, if you've got equipment pre end of financial year, if we get this podcast in before that, if not, there's other ways. But if you need some sort of financing, or even have a discussion about how your current financing is set up, have a chat to Sean, because highly recommend you, mate.
Thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate it.
Excellent. And look, for those who are listening, watching, thank you very much again. Very, very soon, we're actually going to have a full panel for the MIA podcast. Yes. And I mean, obviously I'd like to invite you along as well, Sean, where we're going to have multiple speakers, everyone giving a point of view on certain topics, and that will be a big bang. So keep an ear out, an eye out for that one as well. But thank you again, Sean, and thank you again for our listeners and watchers.
Thank you very much, John.
Pleasure.